Hello students. Hello students. Today we are all here to have a session on tips and tricks. Okay, so let us start with our session on tips and tricks. This session for tips and tricks today is going to focus on our favorite subject called business studies. What is this subject for today? Business studies. My dear friends, you know that all of us have taken CBSE, 12th Standard Commerce, and business studies is one of the very important subjects because mastering in this subject for your examinations will not only help you gain marks, but it will also help you to understand what surrounds the world of business around you. This business studies is important because it is actually a theory subject, but it helps you to understand a lot of things that help you in your real life. Talking about the paper, which is the CBSE paper for 12th grade. Okay, this paper is an important paper. It has got different components in it. The parts of the paper can be divided, but the marks for every question are equally also important. Now, what kind of questions are asked in this paper? Let us understand. Okay, this paper has got different components, as I said, but marks that question has. So there are questions which has got 1 mark. There are questions which have got 3 marks. Okay, there are questions which have got 4 marks. Okay, and there are questions which have got 5 to 6 marks. Okay, right? Now every type of question is different in nature. Okay, because this subject is a very good mix of 2 main components. Okay, because in CBSE 12 business studies, you know that your chapters are aligned in 2 different parts. One part which concentrates on an important aspect called as management, and the second part which concentrates on finance and marketing. Okay, now it is very simple to understand that if you place yourself in the chair of a businessman, it will be very easy for you to solve this paper, because as I had mentioned, the paper is usually asked in different types of questions. Now when I say type of questions, these marks are 1, but what kind of questions are there we will see. Okay, first there are questions which are concept based. Okay, in this concept based questions you have to just focus on one thing, which is the concept which you are going to answer. At the same time, the concept which has the other ideas similar to the one that you are answering. Okay, and the other type of questions are practical questions. Now practical questions are usually those questions which are based on case studies. Okay, these case study based questions are important because they are comprehensive in nature. There are a lot of components attached to these questions, plus they evaluate you not only on the basis of your knowledge but on the basis of your real life skills. Okay, now when I am saying this, these are types of questions, these are types of marks. At the same time, this is your curriculum. Okay, Now coming to your curriculum, you know that as I said, you have to apply this in your real life. How? Let us understand. Okay, because this is going to help you understand your paper really well. Okay, for example, when you come to management, okay, you have certain topics which are related to nature of management. Okay, now nature of management is how management is structured. At the same time, you have chapters which are based on principles of management. Okay, now you know that principles of management are important because these principles are guidelines. Okay, so while solving your paper, as I said, you are going to place yourself in a case study. Are you understanding this? And that is exactly how you are going to solve your paper. Okay, so for example, we are going to take some questions around later, okay, which have appeared in the previous year's papers. But as I said, focus on the kind of syllabus we have and the kind of questions that are going to be asked. There is a very deep relation between this, which we are trying to evolve and understand. Are you understanding this? Very good. Now, coming to this, as I said, nature and principles is always there, but it is also necessary that you know functions of management. My dear friends, functions is what managements or managers or management does. Okay, for example, you know, there is planning, there is organizing, there is directing, there is staffing, there is coordinating, and there is controlling. These 6 functions of management are those functions on which your questions are going to be based on. Okay, so nature, principles and functions of management is your first part of the paper, of the curriculum. Okay, are you understanding what I am trying to say? Very good. Now my dear friends, if you see this side, finance and marketing part of your paper. Okay, in this part of the paper, you have got 2 main components, finance and marketing. In finance, you have got financial management, okay, and you have got financial planning. Okay, now financial management, financial planning, which also includes financial markets as one of the components, right? Along with that, it is marketing. Now in marketing, my dear friends, you know that marketing has got several components under it. Okay, starting from just markets to going on branding, and later on your product side, okay, and packaging. So these are different components of your curriculum that you are going to focus on. Are you understanding this? Now as I said, one tip that I can give you here is always understand the problem statement in such case study type of questions. Okay, now every case study will come with a problem statement which you are going to resolve by providing answer to it, and hence understanding this, the management part and the finance and market part of your syllabus is necessary. Have you understood this? Now if you have understood this, I will go ahead and make you understand what are the types of questions that could be asked based upon the previous paper that we have got. Okay, let us go ahead and understand it. My dear friends, I am going to take few questions of every type. Okay, few questions based on concept, few questions based on concept based stories or case studies as well. Okay, now I will read out the questions for you just in case it is not visible. Okay, I am trying to make it visible for you. The question is, define decentralization. Okay, this is a straightforward 1 mark question. Okay, now this is a totally concept based question. Now if you know that such type of questions, like let's say define decentralization, okay, now this type of question, as I said, they are concept based, okay, and they need to be answered with a complete focus, because you have to answer them in minimum possible words. Okay, so minimum words is the key. And what is the reason for this? Because these are 1 mark questions. Are you understanding this? So the key to answer 1 mark question is use minimum words. Try to understand the concept and build your answer in a way that it gets the technical aspect of the concept clear. At the same time, your understanding of that concept is also clear. Are you understanding this? Very good. Now I will go ahead and take another example. Let's take another example. I have a case study in front of me. Okay, this is a case study. I will read it out for you. Saurabh decided to start a chocolate manufacturing business. He set the target of earning 10% of profit on sales in the first year. As a good businessman, he was concerned about the future of the business, which was uncertain. He gathered information that demand for chocolates is increasing day by day. He used this information as the base for future planning and shared it with his team. On the basis of the gathered information, he scheduled a meeting in the following week to find innovative ways to achieve the objectives. This is the situation given to us. And now what is the question? List the first 2 steps which have been followed by Saurabh that are related to the process of one of the functions of management. Now it is very simple, my dear friends. Now in such type of questions, as I said, try to understand the problem statement. Okay, now problem statement is that Saurabh is starting a business. He is following certain process, and we have to identify what is the process that he is following first and which are the steps that he has used in one of the functions of management. Now it is very simple, my dear friends. If you look at the sum, or if you look at the situation, you will realize that there are certain keywords. Okay, now let us try to define these keywords for us. Okay, let us try to understand which are these keywords for us. Okay, now when you come to this, understand that Saurabh decided to start a chocolate manufacturing business. So start is one of the keyword. Okay, he set the target. So target is the next keyword. Okay, now he gathered information. Okay, he used this information as the base for the future planning and shared it with his team. Now understand, we have highlighted a few keywords in this situation and which point to me towards only one function of management. Okay, what is that function of management? Any guesses? Okay, some of you have guessed it right. The guessed word is correct. It is organizing. My dear friends, in such situations, as the word comes here, the word here is gather. To gather the information, which means to organize. As per the functions of management, organizing means to bring resources together. Okay, here in this, he is starting a business, but before starting the business, he has to understand the market well. And to understand the market well, he will source the information from different areas and he will take the information together. And hence, to gather means to organize. So first part of the problem is clear, that The function of management that we are talking about is organize. So are you understanding how to address such situations, such case studies? Now when I say that I have got my first part of the situation, which is organize, I will have two different steps. Actually I have more steps, but I have been told to list down the steps, two steps which are used by Saurabh. Now the first step that he has used is gathering the information. Organizing has got first step, which is gathering the information, getting together resources. And which one is the second step? Again, coming back to the keywords that we have underlined or we have highlighted, this information was used and shared. So after organizing, we have gather and we have sharing of information. Are you understanding this? Very good, my dear friends. Come on, let's go ahead. Okay, and let's understand. Okay, do you want me to repeat this? Let us repeat this. In this case, if you read, you will understand that Saurabh is starting a business, and starting the business is not just it. What he is doing is he is understanding the market, and for understanding the market he is using a function of management called organizing. Okay, and for organizing there are different steps, but our question says that list the first two steps which have been followed by Saurabh. So what is he doing? He is gathering the information, he is using it, and he is sharing it. Are you understanding this? Very good. So this was another type of question that we have got for our paper. Now let's go ahead and understand the next type of question. Okay, coming to next type of question. Okay, I have a question here which is little practical in nature. An investor wanted to invest rupees 20,000 in treasury bills for a period of 91 days. When he approached the Reserve Bank of India for this purpose, he came to know that it was not possible. Identify the reason why the investor could not invest in treasury bill. Okay, let us understand this question now. So, this question is based on finance, and another thing that we have to understand is treasury bill. So this question is based on treasury bill. Now, what is happening in treasury bill? There is a person who is an investor. He is investing rupees 20,000 in a treasury bill. For investment purpose, he is going to Reserve Bank of India. But what happens? What happens? Reserve Bank of India says that, oh, this is not possible. You can't invest in this treasury bill. And why does this happen? Because the treasury bill that he is wanting to invest in is of 91 days. So our problem is, our question is, why does this happen? Why does RBI say no to him? Let us understand. Okay, so next one is 91 days. So understand, for treasury bill, always it is understood that treasury bills are always for a period of more than 91 days, and hence treasury bills for a period of 91 days is not possible, and hence Reserve Bank of India says that you cannot invest in this treasury bill. Now let's go ahead and understand the next one. Student बोला क्या? Okay. Now the next few questions are direct concept based questions. They have straightforward answers. State the steps in the selection procedure after the employment interview and before the job offer. Okay, it is very simple, my dear friends. This belongs to a chapter on staffing. Okay, once you read every question, you have to understand is the chapter that it belongs to. It belongs to the chapter called staffing. Okay, and when it is the chapter called staffing, this belongs to selection in this chapter. Okay, now they have mentioned clearly that state the steps for selection process. Very simple. Now this is a straightforward question, theory based question. It has come for 3 marks, so you can write, let's say, about 5 to 6 points for this question and explain the points well. Okay, let's start with selection process. Selection process. What is this first step of selection process? First step of selection process is screening of applications. So there are a lot of people who apply for different jobs. When those applications are received by the person, by the recruiter, you screen the CVs or screen the biodata or resumes. Okay. After screening, what is the next process? Next process is primary interview. Okay. So primary interview can be either done face to face in person, or it can be usually done on calls as well. Okay, very good. Next one, you go ahead and call the candidate for secondary interview or the second round of interview if he passes the first round. Are you understanding this? Very good. Now there are 2 possibilities. The candidate can pass or the candidate can fail. If the candidate fails, the process stops. If the candidate passes, then the next step. After this, what you do is you do a medical check of the candidate. After medical check is done, you do a reference check or background check. Okay, reference or background check. This is a very important step, my dear students, because in this step you ascertain very clearly as to what is the background of the candidate who is applying for the job. Where does he come from? What is his previous work experience? Has he been successfully handling experiences and work before? So all such things are checked with the people that he is known to, usually the bosses of his previous company. Okay, and after background check is done, you finally give an offer to the candidate. Are you understanding this? Very good. So, my dear friends, I am going to sum up with few things that we have understood today in this session. Okay? Now, what have you understood? First, there can be concept-based questions. Concept-based questions will require a good focus. They will usually be asked for less number of marks, so you have to answer them in minimum possible words. Okay? Now, next could be case study or study based questions. Okay, these questions are real life case studies. They are usually practical in nature, so you have to understand that you have to put yourself in the shoes of the decision maker and then answer these questions. Then third type of question can be a bit of problem solving, which can be asked in this exam, and they might be related to financial management chapter, and those examples or those questions needed to be answered with foolproof mentality. Are you understanding this? You have to answer the questions as if anybody can understand it. Okay? Have you understood today's session? I hope you have understood it, and I want you to prepare very well for the exams. Ask us doubts if you have. Keep learning on our application, and I will see you soon. Thank you so much.